Hi, this is New Time on Silkway TV, bringing you the most important news with context, perspective, and expert insights from Kazakhstan, Central Asia, and beyond. I am Yergali Ramazanule. Here are the stories making headlines this week. 8 days remain before Kazakhstan heads to the polls to elect its new Kurultai. This week, all 7 political parties faced off in televised debates on Zhibek-Zhole TV, presenting their visions on law and order. What stood out as the campaign enters its final stretch? A new shot at closing the gap on HPV. Kazakhstan is expanding immunization to boys for the first time and switching to a new vaccine for broader protection. Could the new approach help prevent more HPV-related cancers? We take a closer look. The Games of the Future have wrapped up in Astana. How did Kazakhstan pull it off with just a third of the usual preparation time? Digital International CEO Daniel Merkley shares his take in our exclusive interview of the week. We begin our program with the country's biggest political story, the upcoming elections to the Kurultai. Just 1 week remains before Kazakhstan goes to the polls to elect its new parliament. Shortly after the elections, 145 deputies will take their seats in Kazakhstan's new legislative body. Meanwhile, this week, all 7 political parties faced off in televised debates hosted by our very own Zhibek-Zhole TV. The central theme was one of the key principles of the new political agenda, law and order. Our newsroom has been closely following the campaign and brings you the latest from the race.
Televised debates remain one of the most effective ways for political parties to communicate directly with the public. We are right now in the studio where the candidates will take part in debate. The rules are the same for everyone. Equal speaking time, equal opportunity, and most importantly, a chance for each party to present its program and explain its vision for the country. With just 1 week to go before the election, every thesis counts.
The election is taking place under a new political system, with 145 seats in the newly created legislative body being contested by candidates from 7 political parties, and the competition is strong.
So we see that 446 the candidates were represented among the party lists, and they're competing for 145 seats. So in general, like 4 candidates per seat. So this is a really strong rivalry, I would say. And in general, we also see that the new circumstances created under the proportional list, party lists, creates a new system as well. For instance, all the party lists are created taking into account the representatives from all other regions, and the gender equality also, and the age equality is also kept in these lists.
But the campaign is no longer happening only through traditional party meetings or election programs. Political parties are increasingly using social media to reach voters and build their public image. That makes televised debates particularly important. Unlike carefully produced online content, they put candidates in a live political confrontation with direct criticism and unexpected questions.
I strongly believe that we see the state and maturity of political culture and political competition between the 7 parties. All 7 of them with very different views on what does it mean to live in this very complex world and what they propose to the citizens of the country. That's why I strongly believe that this particular company is not just a first historical campaign for this new unicameral parliament, but a very deep and powerful shift in the entire political system and electoral perception of our country for many decades to come.
And the election is attracting attention beyond Kazakhstan as well. The upcoming vote is the first nationwide election under the new constitutional framework, making it an early test of the country's new political institutions. International observers are also being accredited to monitor the process.
In these turbulent times and environment, Kazakhstan offers a rather elegant contrast. A proactive middle power deliberately choosing to upgrade its fundamental institutional architecture. What global stakeholders, wherever diplomatic allies or foreign investors seeing this crystallization of our national strategic culture or institutional stamina. It is a culture that prioritizes agility and resilience over bureaucratic friction. When a tier one analytical centers all around the globe looks at this transition, they don't see a constitutional rewrite. They see a masterclass in a structural optimization.
The televised debates have now put the parties' position on the same stage. The final decision, however, will be made by voters. In 1 week, Kazakhstan will go to the polls, and elected members will begin work in the new Kurultai. Almira Mirov, Akizhan Musakhan, New Time.
Kazakhstan's automotive industry is entering a new phase. Vehicle localization has already reached 40% for some brands as manufacturers expand full-cycle production and increase the use of locally made components. The shift is creating jobs, opening opportunities for domestic suppliers and strengthening the country's broader transport potential. Sanel Kalkamanova reports on what's driving the industry forward.
This is the place where more than 600 cars are assembled every year, with plans to export them to more than 10 countries. Here, at this modern production facility, cars go through a full production cycle. Welding, painting, final assembly, it's all happening inside these walls. Production is expected to reach 3,000 vehicles next year, reaching 5,000 units within the next 5 years. At the same time, the plant aims to expand exports, focusing on market where Kazakhstan holds a strategic logistical advantage.
Соседние Центральной Азии, страны Кавказа и иные страны СНГ являются...
Neighboring countries, Central Asia, the Caucasus, and other CIS nations are our primary target markets. Under our original plan, 90% of our output is geared toward export. That means 9 out of 10 trucks produced will eventually be exported, with only 1 in 10 sold on a domestic market.
1 из 10 автомобилей будет продан на местном рынке.
Kazakhstan produced more than 171,000 vehicles last year, an increase of 18%. Investment in the automotive industry is also remained strong, exceeding 189 billion tenge annually in 2024 and in 2025.
Ежегодно автомобилестроение растет.
The automotive industry grows by around 20% on average each year. In terms of localization, enterprises have now mastered welding, painting, and technological processes. In bus production, Kaztechno has also developed stamped components.
According to Kazakhstan Automotive Union, the industry is increasingly looking beyond the domestic market. Local plants are meeting international production standards and have passed the safety and homologation requirements for major global car makers, paving the way for further export growth.
У нас очень много сейчас технологий внедрено в развитие.
A vast number of technologies are now being integrated into automotive development, ranging from power windows and extra features to various multimedia systems, interactive touch panels, and beyond. Many automakers are also heavily investing in safety technologies. Today, our manufacturing capability is well recognized beyond Kazakhstan, and our producers have proven they can be high-tech and meet international standards.
Что они могут быть технологичными, они могут соответствовать международным стандартам.
Positioned at the heart of key routes, like the Middle Corridor, Kazakhstan connects market over 3 billion people. Over the past 7 years, the country has invested nearly $35 billion in transport infrastructure to strengthen its role as a key transit hub. Kazakhstan is also expanding its rail network, with more than 750 kilometers of new tracks under construction, 3,000 kilometers being upgraded, and over 120 stations undergoing modernization.
Ну, я верю, что средний коридор, который...
I believe the Middle Corridor will play a vital role in the future, serving as a key link between China, Central Asia, and Europe. Today, significant cargo flows already pass through this corridor, traversing Kazakhstan, the Caspian Sea, Azerbaijan, and Turkey, and many materials essential to our enterprise are delivered via this route. Moreover, with the expansion of industry and business in Kazakhstan, this trade flow will only continue to grow.
Наши предприятия идут через этот коридор, с учетом расширения промышленности в Казахстане, бизнеса, товаропоток только будет увеличиваться.
From local production to expanding transport routes, Kazakhstan is strengthening its transport sector, supporting businesses and trade while reinforcing the country's position as a key link between major global markets. Sanel Kalkamanova, Danyar Ayderbekov, New Time.
More than 300 billion digital tenge already in circulation in Kazakhstan, and that figure is expected to grow significantly, with the National Bank targeting 1 trillion. Starting from July, the digital tenge has been officially recognized as legal tender. But how exactly does this new form of money work? And what makes it different from the money we use today? Nuray Salbek takes a closer look in the following report.
Cash, non-cash, and now digital tenge. These are three forms of Kazakhstan's national currency available today. While cash and non-cash money are already part of everyday life, digital tenge introduces a new feature that sets it apart: programmability. In simple terms, digital tenge can be programmed with specific rules defining how, where, or under what conditions the money can be spent. So as the National Bank puts it, money can become not only smart, but obedient. But how does that work in practice? Here's one example.
Digital tenge. Let's take an example. There is a construction company and a customer. They want to be able to understand where the money can be spent next. For example, they say this amount can only be spent on crushed stone and this amount can only be spent on the other construction materials. So the logic is assigned to the money in advance, and those funds can only be spent for the purposes specified.
For consumers, however, the digital tenge is not a different currency. One digital tenge is equal in value to one cash or non-cash tenge. The difference lies in how it can be used, from programmable payments to new services that could become available as more banks and businesses join the system.
Instead of your current account or your deposit, you will have new entity, which is called digital tenge account. And you can do almost all operations with your digital tenge account, as in case of your current account or your deposit or your multi-currency card.
With its full-scale launch, the focus is shifting to real-world applications, from government payment to business services. For companies, the technology could change not only how payments are made, but also how financial processes are managed and automated.
Вот как раз-таки цифровой тенге, он является цифровой валютой Центрального банка Казахстана.
The digital tenge is the central bank digital currency of Kazakhstan. There is also a digital yuan and the digital dirham, which are digital currencies issued by the central banks of other countries. At the moment, platforms are emerging that enable cross-border payments using these digital currencies. For example, digital tenge can be transferred to the UAE and converted into digital dirham. All of this can take place on a single platform and is done quickly.
Происходит на одной площадке, и происходит это все быстро.
But the potential of digital currencies goes beyond domestic payments. One of the areas where they could make a significant difference is cross-border transactions.
Businesses, actually, some businesses already using digital tenge for their tax management. We have a scenario called digital value-added tax, which significantly simplifies the value-added tax return process. It actually speeds up very much, and we had quite positive feedback. And we think that actually this is one of the scenarios that will promote use of digital tenge.
The digital tenge is now moving beyond the pilot stage. A clear legal framework is paving the way for solution tested on a limited scale to enter everyday use. The next challenge is wider adoption and integration across Kazakhstan's financial system as more banks and businesses connected to the platform. The range of application is expected to grow further. Nuray Salbek, Anwar Abelda, New Time.
Kazakhstan is giving its HPV vaccination program a new shot, expanding it to boys and switching from Gardasil 4 to Gardasil 9 for broader protection against the virus. Until now, the focus has been exclusively on girls. So what does this new approach mean? And can wider vaccination help prevent more HPV-related cancers? Details in the coming report.
For the first time, boys are expected to become part of Kazakhstan's national HPV vaccination program. The move reflects a broader understanding of how the virus affects the population, as HPV is known to affect both men and women. While the virus is often cleared naturally, some high-risk types can persist and lead to cancer. As part of the Healthcare Development Plan through 2029, the Ministry of Healthcare is now working to expand vaccination to boys, with the Ministry of Finance having already approved funding for the program. Kazakhstan relaunched its national HPV campaign in 2024, initially targeting girls from the age of 11.
We have currently used around 500,000 doses. In general, for the first and second doses, the coverage rate doesn't exceed 40% in the target groups. So, at the moment, the coverage is low, but people are not convinced that the vaccination is necessary.
14 types that are concerned as a high-risk types. Those high-risk types could cause different types of cancer, especially cervical cancer.
One of the ways to strengthen protection against these high-risk types is by expanding the range of HPV strains covered by the vaccine. Previously, Gardasil 4 was used under the national protocol, but now the country is transitioning to the 9-valent vaccine for broader protection.
And now we are currently at the warehouse of Kazakhstan single distributor, where the new Gardasil 9 vaccine is being stored before it being shipped to regions across the country. Unlike the Gardasil 4 previously used in the national program, it protects against the 9 types of HPV, including types that can cause cancer.
But expanding the program is only effective if children actually receive the vaccine. The World Health Organization aims to have 90% of girls vaccinated by 2030. And in Kazakhstan, the focus is on reaching children aged 11 to 13, the target age group for HPV vaccination.
One of the best investments that has been proven scientifically for decades is vaccination. Because vaccine saves lives. This country, every year, there are about 900 women are dying due to cervical cancer, and they are dying in their best age, leaving children, but also it has immense financial cost to the health system and financial of the country to be treated cases with cancer.
But reaching vaccination targets also means addressing the concern that may make parents hesitant. One of the most common is whether the HPV vaccine could affect the ability to have children later in life. Studies from Australia and the United Kingdom have found no link between HPV vaccination and infertility. Some research even suggests it may help reduce the risk of certain adverse pregnancy outcomes. Another key factor is timing, reaching young people before they are exposed to the virus and helping them understand why protection matters. Countries with high vaccination rates already show what this approach can achieve in practice.
Have high-income countries that they have great experience on towards reaching WHO targets. This we have like Australia, we have Scotland, United Kingdom is doing well, Portugal, but also we have low-income countries. For example, Rwanda is used as one example, who have reached this target above 90% of vaccinating girls.
These international examples also show that high vaccination coverage can translate into measurable results. For example, in England, where vaccination began in 2008, researchers can now see its impact. Among the women aged 20 to 24, researchers recorded no cervical cancer death in the latest 5 years of data.
We wanted to really show that the impact, not only did it prevent HPV infection, not only did it prevent women being diagnosed with cancer, but actually it resulted in fewer deaths. So it shows that the vaccine is extremely effective within the first 10 to 20 years after, or 10 to 18 years after it's given, particularly when it's given at a young age.
With this result in mind, Kazakhstan's planned expansion comes with a clear focus, reaching children early and building confidence in vaccination. Health officials urge parents to take this preventative step before their children are exposed to the virus, helping protect both them and the wider population in the future. Nuray Aslbek, Aliliana Erkpayeva, Anwara Bilda, New Time.
What does a more connected Central Asia look like? This week we saw some answers, from the upcoming presidential election to efforts to make regional travel easier and put Central Asia's heritage in the international spotlight. Joining me with all the details is my colleague Nuray Aslbek. Nuray, what's on the agenda?
Hello, Yergali. There's been plenty of movement across the region this week. We begin in Kyrgyz Republic. Mark 27th of January 2027 on your calendar. Kyrgyz Republic has set the date for its next presidential election. President Sadyr Japarov has signed amendments changing the election schedule. The vote will now be held on the fourth Wednesday of January instead of fourth Sunday, as previously stipulated by law. Election day will also be paid a day off, with lawmakers saying the change is intended to encourage higher voter turnout. Earlier this year, the parliamentary election cycle has already been separated from the presidential race. Snap parliamentary elections were held last November to prevent the two nationwide campaigns from overlapping next year. So January 27th is now the date set to Kyrgyzstan's next presidential vote. Meanwhile, Uzbekistan is taking another step into space. With artificial intelligence on board, the country has successfully launched the Samarkand 2028 satellite alongside Indonesia's Lampung 1 from a sea-based platform off the coast of China. Developed with the participation of Uzbek cosmos specialists, Samarkand 2028 carries an AI model that can analyze images directly in orbit before sending them back to Earth. This could make the process faster and more efficient. The technology can be used in agriculture, environmental and water monitoring, emergency response, and urban planning. The satellite's name also has a special meaning. Samarkand will host the International Astronautical Congress in 2028 after winning the bid at last year's Congress in Sydney. For Uzbekistan, the launch marks another step in developing its space industry and putting AI to work beyond the Earth. Could one visa soon open the door to several Central Asian countries? Kyrgyzstan President Sadyr Japarov has revived the idea of a single tourist visa for the region. Speaking at the informal meeting of Central Asian and Azerbaijani leaders in Cholpan-Ata, Japarov said Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan already support the initiative. He called on foreign ministers to set up consultation and work toward a common position. The idea itself is not new. Kyrgyzstan first proposed the initiative back in 2025, envisioning a single visa that would allow foreign tourists to visit Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Turkmenistan, similar in principle to Europe's Schengen system. The proposal comes as the region seeks to promote joint travel routes linking Silk Road heritage, historic cities, and natural attractions. For now, there is no regional agreement or clear timeline, but if the plan moves forward, traveling across Central Asia could become much easier for international visitors. Kazakhstan has been named the most attractive Central Asian country for relocation in the Global Relocation Index 2026. The country ranked 77th out of 192 countries and territories, taking the top position in Central Asia. The annual index assesses countries across 24 criteria grouped into 4 main areas: financial conditions, livability and healthcare, safety and stability, and the ease of settling in and adapting to a new country. Kazakhstan's position reflects a combination of economic, social, and institutional factors that can influence how attractive a country is for people considering relocation. The ranking also highlights Kazakhstan's broader efforts to improve its investment and business environment through domestic reforms and infrastructure development. That's all I have for this week. Yergali.
Thanks, Nurai. That's our regional roundup. More than 200 million viewers tuned in to witness the Games of the Future, according to Kazakhstan's Ministry of Tourism and Sports. The third international edition of the Games of the Future wrapped up in Astana last weekend. So how did the final days unfold? And what legacy has the tournament left behind? Almir Amirov reports.
12 days, 8 disciplines, and more than 800 athletes brought the people of Astana into the world of the future. Kazakhstan hosted the Digital Games for the first time, with the capital becoming only the third city in the world after Kazan and Abu Dhabi to welcome digital and e-sport athletes from across the globe.
For Kazakhstan, the Games were not only a new experience, but also an opportunity to gain valuable practical knowledge and experience. And Kazakhstan esports athletes made history by becoming champions in the digital shooter discipline. The competition combined 13 rounds of the Counter-Strike 2 and a physical laser tag battle, with the final result decided by performance across both stages.
I said to the team, guys, we need to pull ourselves together. We have to do everything we can to win, because there were only 10 minutes left in the game.
Some disciplines took place simultaneously, while others were held one after another, keeping the action going throughout the tournament. The competitions were spread across 4 venues in Astana, with more than 500 gaming stations set up for the event. Behind the scenes, 800 volunteers helped keep everything running smoothly, and it all built up to a spectacular finish. One of the biggest highlights came on the final day, when Phygital Football crowned a team from Argentina as champions.
En la parte digital sabíamos que jugábamos contra un rival muy bueno, los conozco a los chicos.
On the digital side, we knew we were up against a very strong opponent. I know these guys, we've trained with them, and they're a very good team. In the physical part, I believed in my team until the very last minute because I knew what they were capable of. I always believed that at any moment we could equalize and even turn the game around and win.
Yo creía que en cualquier momento lo podíamos empatar y ganar.
The games of the future may be over, but their impact is likely to go far beyond the final whistle. For Kazakhstan, the tournament was a chance to test a new generation of athletes, gain experience in emerging sports, and showcase Astana as a city where technology and competition can come together. Almir Amirov, New Time.
18 months since the standard planning cycle for an event of this scale. But Astana managed to prepare for the Games of the Future in just over 7 months. So how did Kazakhstan pull it off, and what did Astana demonstrate to the world? We put these questions to Daniel Merkley, CEO of Phygital International, the organization behind the Games. Let's hear what he had to say in our exclusive interview of the week.
How would you assess the success of the Games of the Future, and what exceeded your expectations today?
I think this edition of the Games of the Future in Astana have achieved a new benchmark, a new example for us to show future host cities, and I'm really proud of what we've achieved here. Some things that exceeded my expectations, I would say the broadcast audience. We've reached more people than we ever have through broadcast and media, and the number of readers and subscribers that have been seeing the games it's a testament that Phygital sport is catching. I've also been so impressed with the venues. I think the feeling that I had entering the venues when they were fully prepared and in broadcast mode was breathtaking. It was world-class. It showed me that Astana was delivering a global scale and world-class event. And I'm particularly proud of the passion and excitement from volunteers and organizers. It's been really a fantastic experience.
Okay, great. And what has Astana and Kazakhstan in general demonstrated to the world about the potential of the Phygital Games also?
They're ready to host more than this. They've proven themselves as a global class and global leader in production of events. In terms of Phygital, it's caught on so well. We've had great partnerships with the Ministry of Sport and Tourism, and I know that what we're creating here is a legacy, not just of sport, but digital competency, digital literacy. The combining of those two things in the same competition really resonates with youth.
Great. And also, just an additional question, out of curiosity, how long does it take to recreate in real life the Phygital Games? For example, for this games, how long did you prepare? I mean, like from the ideas to the real venues?
We've been speaking with local organizers here since December of 2024.
Oh, really?
Right.
Yeah, it's been almost a year and a half.
Sure, the planning cycle is probably rationally about 18 months, but we turned around together with your local organizers in only about 7.5 months. The previous Games edition was in Abu Dhabi last December. So it was really a compressed timeline, and I'm very impressed with the ability that we have done it.
On August 10th, Kazakhstan marked Abay Day, honoring the great poet, thinker and educator, whose legacy holds a special place in Kazakh and world culture. President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev said Abay's teachings remain particularly significant as Kazakhstan enters a new stage of development. More than a century on, Kunanbai's words continue to resonate across generations. How his legacy is shaping modern Kazakhstan and reaching audiences beyond its borders in our next report.
Abay's teaching remains a moral guide, while his concept of Toluk Adam, the idea of well-rounded person, continues to inspire new generations. His legacy is increasingly being embraced not only in education, but across different sectors of society.
Our respect for Abay is growing year by year. I personally consider this to be the effect of our state's great policy and the deep respect shown to Abay by our president Kassym-Jomart Tokayev. At the same time, various other organizations from different sectors are showing interest in Abay's legacy and reaching out to meet with us, the scholars of Abay studies. This is clear evidence that the respect for Abay is increasing with every passing year.
Abay's work is widely recognized beyond his homeland. In 1995, multiple editions of his works in different languages were published under the auspices of UNESCO to mark the 150th anniversary of his birth. In 2020, the collection was expanded and updated, with the new editions published in 10 languages. Today, his poetry continues to attract international audience, including university teachers and students.
Through Abay's work, international readers, basically, they can learn about Kazakh traditions, they can learn about Kazakh history and Kazakh values, custom, how they carry their customs in different times, and basically importance of knowledge. So, yeah, Abay's poetry reflects all these things.
This year, Abay Day once again marked around the world, with tributes held from Beijing and Rome to Dushanbe in Bucharest, with more than 20 monuments, busts and murals dedicated to him worldwide. The great Kazakh thinker is remembered far beyond his homeland. Kazakh communities abroad gather at this landmark to honor his legacy, one that continues to cross borders and connect generations. Sanel Kalkamanova, New Time.
And that's it for today. Catch all the main news and special projects about Kazakhstan and Central Asia on Silkway TV channel and follow us on social media. Stay tuned for more and see you next week.